Oh man, if I had rally towels, Chris, I would be waving. That's what I was doing right now. I know it's not playoffs and we're not there yet, but man, it feels good to get a win again in Toronto. In Toronto, Chris, we just talked about it off air. Chris from the Curfew Boys joining me tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Curfew Boys represent, and we were going to have Sammy on too, but he's a good soldier. He's working tonight, like the good lad that he is. But kicking it off here with Chris, man. Thanks for coming on here, pal. We appreciate you, man.
Thank you for having me. On behalf of the Curfew Boys, I guess tonight it's the Curfew Boy, but they're always
That's right.
they've already slid their comments over there. They were very happy with the win as well. Like you said, always great to beat the Maple Leafs, especially it's been the first time in a while. So I think there's a lot to unpack over here.
There is a lot to unpack, buddy, and yeah, it's nice to win in Toronto because, as we just mentioned off air, this was the Canadiens snapping an 11-game winless streak in Scotiabank Place. I can't believe that. That's a crazy stat. I didn't even realize it had been that long, Chris.
It's been far too long, but I think there's a bit of poetic nature to all of it. As we see the Habs starting to rise up and the Leafs declining, just the perfect symbolism to kind of mark the beginning of the end of the Leafs dominance and the Habs uprising. So I don't know. That's my take. But first time 11, it feels like a very, very long time and much deserved. And I'll go as far as saying I don't even think the Leafs deserved a point tonight.
Yeah, Montreal had outplayed them, and I was really happy with Montreal's defensive game. What did you think about them on the defensive side of the puck? Because I felt like that's where I was most impressed. A lot of good sticks tonight. Like, I saw a lot of plays being broken up, a lot of pucks being deflected, like a lot of, I don't know about shot blocks. I'll pull up those numbers as we roll along here. But defensively, I was impressed with the Canadiens tonight.
So I will go as far as saying, like, I had across the board a textbook defensive play, especially Matheson and Dobson. There were little rumbles here and there that maybe we should break apart the pairing, spread the wealth. If you might say that wasn't the case, and super happy that it wasn't the case because those two really locked it down tonight. It felt as though the Leafs are playing on the perimeter, and I think even Sportsnet, I'll give them credit for saying this, but the Leafs would get one opportunity at a time, and it was never a rebound. There was never anything given thereafter. They played a textbook game. I would say across the board. Unfortunately, the third period, I had the notes to say that if Arbor Jacki could bottle the game that he played today and or copy and paste game after game, he has his spot as the number 6 defenseman in this lineup night after night. And then unfortunately he got caught up a little bit. He got
Yeah.
that penalty. It's unfortunate, but nevertheless, I would say other than that little mistake in the third period, I just thought it was a masterclass by the Montreal Canadiens defenseman.
Yeah, it was fun to watch in that sense, just because I thought it would be a goaltending matchup in a sense, but Montreal really outshot Toronto, and there wasn't a ton of high danger chances, but I thought Doby held his ground too. But now that you mentioned Jack Eye, as soon as he got that penalty at the end, I mean, it was kind of one where you're like, like late in the game, these are the ones he just always gets in trouble for, right? Like, you don't want to be the guy, but thankfully Montreal killed off the power play, and Montreal's penalty kill, I think, was another, again, side of the defensive side of the game looking well for them, because the PK, Toronto's power play, I looked at the numbers, they're like 14, between 14 and 16% this season, Chris. That's insane for this Toronto team. That's just embarrassing.
I'm gonna tee you up for this one because I've spoken about it enough on the
We're gonna
Curfew
chirp
Boys
the Leafs
channel.
tonight, guys, a little bit. We have fun, but anyway,
Might there be a certain player named Mitch that the Toronto Maple Leafs are missing at this
never
moment
heard
in
of
time?
them. Just joking. No. Yeah, I knew this conversation was going to come up, but Mitch Marner was a power play specialist. There's no questions asked. So they are sincerely missing that guy and his creativity on the power play.
No, even if you would say like the 5-on-5 play, the penalty killing, I thought he brought, and it's hard to admit, and it was even harder to admit while he was still playing for Toronto, but he had a significant impact and kind of it's I'm going to tie this back to Mike Matheson. Mike Matheson playing a lot of hockey last year. And I would arguably say playing hockey and minutes that were maybe a little bit tougher on him, we're seeing him in a more well-balanced role, and he's perfectly suited. And that's kind of my sentiment. Like sitting back here, that's somewhat of my sentiment that I have for Mitch Marner and the Toronto Maple Leafs. I felt as though he was doing absolutely everything. But if you have a forward playing 20 to even 25 minutes on certain nights, he's bound to make mistakes. And they
Yeah.
chased him out of town. Kid was living his childhood dream, which became a childhood. I mean, maybe not a childhood, but just a sheer nightmare. And all that to say is doing well in Vegas.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like, dude, I just I'm happy for Mitch, but I'm also like, I don't really care at the same time. Like I don't know how to think or feel about it. But we lost the last time we did a live post game show just like this with Shane Goma and myself. So we will get some Leaf fans chiming in here at some point or other in the comments and seeing how much we're chirping the Leafs and stuff like that. I just thought it was really tight defensive hockey. I haven't seen a game like this in a very long time where defense was most of what we were seeing until maybe a bit later in the game. Um, we'll get to Texier's shootout winner. I do have to put this up here. Texier with the gorgeous shootout winner, ladies and gentlemen. One-handed. The cojones on this guy to make the play that he did. I mean, Cole Caufield had a roof daddy goal to kick things off in the shootout, but Texier, got to give him a shout out for the shootout winner. That was a thing of beauty. I will try to show a few seconds of it without getting dinged here on YouTube momentarily. But Chris, we got to talk about that Texier shootout winner making his mark in his first unofficial goal for the Montreal Canadiens.
So I think what's funny about all of it, I feel as though you're lining me up with these golden questions. These are so fun to answer. Just we'll keep them coming as much as possible. But
It's easier when they win.
Alexandre Tex, so Alexandre Texier, sorry, signs with the Montreal Canadiens. First thing, as a Habs fan, what do? You go straight to YouTube and you search up highlights. And lo and behold, that's one of his primary highlights. He had done something similar. Comes over to the Montreal Canadiens, gets a second opportunity tonight to shoot in the shootout, and you go, wonder what he's going to pull out of the bag and what he's going to do. And lo and behold, again, just a carbon copy of what he did back in Columbus. Love, abs- yes, it was Columbus. I'm sorry. I was thinking Columbus, St. Louis, and now Montreal, but carbon copy of what he did. What a beautiful, gutsy, not to say another word, but very gutsy move to pull off and
Yeah,
beautifully executed. I mean, right 5 hole, completely fooled Hildeby, and you love to see it. You really really love to see it. And on that note, too, Caufield touches the back of the net twice tonight.
true.
What
Yes.
do you think about his shootout goal?
You know what? I loved it because I just love when you can come down and just get a wrister and score. Like I just feel like you have to deke in the shootout, which isn't always true. But the thing is, I mean, just the way he came down and just like he does something different every time. I think Cole Caufield. He went 5 hole against Winnipeg, goes roof daddy tonight. And you're just confident when he comes down, but like it was fun to watch. And then Austin Matthews comes in. Okay, he's expected to score, and he makes a nice move too. And credit to Hill to be in this game. Like I will give the Leafs minimal amount of credit and respect. Just kidding. I'm we're gonna have some fun, but I think that Hildeby played a pretty solid game in a nice glove save on Zachary Bolduc on a breakaway there. That was a nice play too. So I'll give him a shout out for how he played tonight. He played decently well.
I I liked the lines from top to bottom. Um, I think everybody played well. There was nobody who really stood out as playing a poor game or who looked out of place. I think maybe Jared Davidson, when he missed that opportunity, I think he was kicking himself a little bit for it because that was quite the wonderful opportunity. But otherwise, just like you said, it was such a structured, strong defensive game. I think guys were just in the right position, marking, forechecking, and for a guy, I'm curious to get your take on this, but it was very public that Matthew Nyes had gone out and said,
Yeah.
"Oh, we want retribution, we want payback for what they did to us." I don't know about you, but I thought that was slightly underwhelming for payback, if you ask me.
No, they didn't get what they wanted from. But you know what? The thing is, for me, I would personally rather hear a guy go do it and then talk about it after. Don't tell us what you want to do. I mean, I guess guys are going to say that anyway, but I just rather hear like he scored a gorgeous, like Matthew and I scored a gorgeous goal the other night against Carolina. That was highlight reel stuff. That was gorgeous. When you talk about wanting to score a goal like that, nobody really wants to hear about it. They just want to see you do it, and they want to see you come back and say, hey, yeah, this is how it happened. We can talk about it. We can celebrate a little bit. But when you talk about wanting to get retribution against the Canadiens, yeah, you didn't like what happened in the last game. Florian Xhekaj unleashed 4-0 going into the third period at one point. So Toronto wanted to get this one back, but this was I don't know if it was a statement game from the Canadiens, but I think defensively for Marty St. Louis, he's smiling tonight because again, you can't give enough credit to everybody for having good sticks. There was turnovers, there were giveaways, there were plays you want back, but thankfully at the end of the day, they somehow come away with 2 points against a Toronto team that had just won 3 in a row.
Absolutely. I do want to add one other layer though to this. If I were to be in a Leafs fan position, which I could never be, I don't even want to imagine that. That's just an unsettling thought. But all that to say is, if I'm paying the ridiculous prices to go watch that game, the Toronto Maple Leafs didn't start playing hockey really. I want to give Canadians credit for playing that structured game, but I also think that the Toronto Maple Leafs were unable to skate with the Montreal Canadiens for the better part of the first two periods.
Hmm.
Obviously, the second period was utter dominance by the Montreal Canadiens on the whole. I think the shots were 13-3 by the end of it all. But all that to say is, like Mike Matheson making John Tavares look that much closer to retirement in his skating, but even like William Nylander, who always manages to have a great game against Montreal and find a way
You
to
wait for
score a
it. You
goal.
wait for it. Yeah.
That's the sad reality. Like I just thought that Toronto's speed was nowhere near to what the Montreal Canadiens were able to bring, and lo and behold, the only time that they beat us on speed on a counter attack, which what looked like a high stick. I'd love to get your take on that. But high stick puts the puck down, sends it up to Scott Lawton, and breaks past Noah Dobson, who's running towards the end of his power play shift. Maybe caught a little bit flat-footed on the play and breakaway slap shot. Fair enough. It was a good goal, but all that to say, it was one of the few plays that Toronto executed with a high level of speed that outpaced our own, and they generated very little. But the high stick is something. High stick, yes or no?
I'd have to look back at it to be honest with you, pal. Was it actually Scott Lawton that did the high stick, or was it?
It was, Nicolas Roy, if
Oh,
I'm
it was
not
Nick.
mistaken.
Okay, yeah, I'd have to look back at it. I can't tell you an honest take on that just because it happened so fast, and I didn't get a chance to hit the replay. But what I'm happy about in this game, alluding to that, is that it didn't end. We both got power play opportunities. Montreal executed on one of them, and Toronto executed a shorthanded breakaway, which is a great wind-up slap shot goal. But I'm just glad that from an overall standpoint, the refereeing didn't influence the game and the outcome because we all lost our minds against Edmonton when Montreal lost that game in regulation when they should have got at least a point. So looking back on something like this, I just don't think that I'm just glad, I guess, to say that the refereeing did not overly influence the outcome of this game. So I didn't see that replay. I'd have to look back at it. But I think I'm just happy with the fact that this game ended up being maybe not close. Montreal had the edge from an overall standpoint. We outshot them 34-23. Shout out Austin Matthews for outshooting you guys with 34. Toronto outhit us 28-21. Toronto won more faceoffs, 36-26. We were 1 for 4 on power plays. They were 0 for 3. Toronto had 8 penalty minutes. We had 6 penalty minutes. We each had 12 takeaways, 5 takeaways for Toronto, three takeaways for Montreal. Montreal had 11 block shots, Toronto with 8 block shots. So just kind of going through all the basic stats there. But I think I'm just happy with, I mean, I'm never always thrilled to see us win in a shootout. However, I'll say that when your team wins in a shootout, you care less, but losing in a shootout sucks, Chris. So how do you feel about that in that sense?
I kind of feel the same way. I really don't like the fact that it goes to shootout, especially that we have one of arguably the best overtime players in Cole Caufield,
Yeah.
who likes to accumulate game-winning goals.
Rick thinks it's a
However,
high stick,
and
by the way. So I will acknowledge our comment.
Rick, I like the way you're thinking, Rick, but all that all that to say is I think there's always a silver lining to it. Like, obviously, put the win aside. Jakub Dobeš, I think, it's back to back games now that he goes to shootout, and he does very well facing shooters one on one in this, like, I would say, the highest pressure situation that he could be facing. He did outstandingly well. I
Yes.
think Jakub Dobeš was maybe off for a few games, and his numbers weren't the best. This might be just what the doctor ordered to get him back on track. I'll say that much, but I'm still, at the end of the day, I'm not a fan of the shootout. It would have been that much more gratifying to actually win in overtime playing regular hockey or 3-on-3 hockey for that matter.
Yeah, and I think the 3-on-3 rules have to change in terms of possession and just crossing over the red line. Like, they gotta make it a little easier for play to continue because guys are figuring out, we don't have a play, we come back, we reset. We come back, we exit the zone, we go back in. So when it's back and forth, overtime is great. And actually, overtime was pretty interesting for a moment there. Again, Jakub Dobeš held his ground. There was a 3-on-1 on Lane Hudson near the end there. Like, let's not forget that. I mean, this game typically in Toronto specifically, they have won every overtime that they've ever gone to overtime in the last 11 contests in Toronto. So to come away with 2 points in Toronto, to get out of the overtime and not being scored on by Toronto is an accomplishment itself also. But my goodness, like, I guess I'm happy also to see that from a high potent offensive team like the Toronto Maple Leafs, like with William Nylander, like you mentioned, we're always just kind of waiting for him to have his moment against Montreal, and he wasn't able to have his moment tonight. And that's just, again, a huge kudos to the guys for shutting it down. I got to get my buddy on here because this is my buddy Chris, who loves The Rock and WWE, and this is how he is saying this: "You will never, and The Rock means ever, beat us again." Well, he's a Leaf fan, and sorry about your luck, buddy. I love you, but got to give a
Look,
shout out to my buddy Chris for showing up after a loss. So good for you, pal.
it's
Chris
there's something
represent.
special about the rivalry all around, and it's that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it exciting. These games mean that much more when you have that friendly or sometimes not so friendly competition. But
Yeah.
for some of us, it made our weekend. It might be the staple of the weekend that, in terms of being able to celebrate this win against our bitter rivals. But yeah, it wouldn't be the same without you guys rooting for those guys skating around in blue. So um, yeah, I'd just to change gears and not go too far. We've talked about a few individual players, but on the Montreal side, I'd love to pick your brain. Have there been any standout players? I have one guy in mind clearly, but has there been one or, a couple of players that have really stood out, whether it be this game or the past games? We have some star firepower that's building up some momentum, but I'm just curious to see if anybody stood out for you.
Yeah, I think like Demidov comes to mind. He got another point tonight, I believe. Let me just make sure he got credit for Cole Caufield's first period goal. He did. So Slafkovsky, I mean, Demidov, Slav specifically, though, I think he's really coming into his own slowly but surely. And I think everyone's seeing the same thing. But Slafkovsky's up there. No questions for me that those two, whether they're playing together or separate, Slafkovsky, Demidov. I really like Noah Dobson. I really like what he's bringing. A much needed element on the defensive end. Kapanen, got to give kudos to him just for what he's been able to produce. I like that he's just getting more and more NHL reps at this point. I love Nick and Cole, the way they're playing, of course. And to see Slafkovsky come back to Nick and Cole and look like he just never missed a beat tonight, just winning board battles, puck battles, using his body more effectively, realizing how big Slafkovsky is. I don't think he still fully knows how big he is sometimes, but he's getting there. And I think that those guys are standing out, Chris, if I can name a few.
Well, I was hoping that those were going to be the names that you brought up, and the guy who's standing out, I will touch upon Ivan Demidov. I think he's getting a little bit more comfortable with the NHL physicality. Like, I
Mhm.
think he's that much more confident. I don't want to say that he's a kid who gives up on the boards, not in the slightest.
Not at all. No.
But I would say that there are moments where he might slow up a bit and he's not going to chase after the puck as fast as if it would be open ice. But I'm happy to see that progression. Now, Uri Slafkovsky, I think, and there's a case to be made that he has been arguably our best player for the past 3 to 5 games. And I'm also going to go as far as I don't know if you're big on movies, but I'm going to go original Karate Kid, Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off, learning how to, learning the art of karate.
I
But
like
all
it.
that to say
I like it.
is there what I will say that is seemingly the strategy. And you're going, where are you going with this, Chris? No, just stick
No,
with
I'm
me.
with you. I'm
For
with you,
us,
buddy. Old school
he
movies
was.
too.
He, well, there we go. I feel as though Marty picked Uri Slavkovsky, dropped him onto that line with both Demidov and Kapanen, and said, "Have at it. You're going to be the leader on this line. Drive the play." And I feel as though he was put into not an uncomfortable position, but a position that he clearly hadn't been practicing and doing before. And lo and behold, he got the reps in. He got into the mind frame of, okay, it's my duty to bring up the puck. And the puck battles along the boards and everything, that Slav has been doing that for a long while now. That hasn't been any issue whatsoever. But Slavkovsky, I find, has now gotten to the habit, especially the exact notes that I wrote down for myself was when he finally got into that confidence for carrying the puck.
Mhm.
I find that he's bringing a whole new dynamic. I find that he's trying to get rid of the puck far less quickly, playing with both Cole and Nick, and something even better is coming out of all of that. So Slav, even a few back checks, like he had a back check against Austin Matthews. I thought he
Yes.
should have left. In my opinion, I thought Matthews should have left Slafkovsky in the dust. He did draw a penalty at the end because he got the hook in, and that was in the first period. But all that to say, like Slav has been an absolute force, gaining confidence and truly becoming. It's a very long-winded answer, but truly becoming that number one overall pick and looking like it, even though Lane Hudson might have an argument to make with that draft year.
Yeah, fair enough. But you know what you said about Slav there too? I was thinking also of the back check. I think when he gave it away, I don't know if they were on the power play there in the third period, but the back check where Slav came back and just got back with a few good heavy strides and then just swatted the puck back out. That was like, again, defensively. This is the details that you're looking for, right? That's what I was impressed with.
Couldn't agree more.
So I'm
I
really
couldn't
happy to see that. And I think, yeah, producer Shane, my buddy who jumps on here with me once in a while from the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinero, producer Shane Gomall, everybody. You know him, you love him. And yeah, so and I think Sammy's chiming in from work here by the looks of it, Chris, because I don't know if you saw it, but your cousin is chiming in, letting us know what's happening over there. So we appreciate that support, you guys. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and give a real quick shout out to our show sponsor. And it won't take too much time, guys. Please stay with us. Please stay with us because we're enjoying this. We're having a good time. The Montreal Canadiens win 2-1 in a shootout over the Toronto Maple Leafs. And this particular segment is brought to you, folks, by the Niagara Golf Lounge. And I'm actually going to try to do this properly because I'm not right now. So, so let me actually get the ad up for you. But yeah, folks, this was a fun night tonight for Montreal Canadiens fans specifically. But this is Niagara's indoor golf simulator. It's their number one indoor golf simulator. As a matter of fact, you can see this here behind the promo. And folks, this is a great place to go and play some indoor golf with your friends. You will not regret it. And I just want to give them a shout out because, again, they are, of course, sponsoring the Deeks channel this month and the next couple of months, it looks like here. So if you are in the Niagara region, folks, if you are nearby, please visit this place, NiagaraGolfVacations.com. There's actually a unique code that you can enter to get 10% off of your rental. And it's, let me give it to you here. It is Deeks sent you. So when you type in your name on this website, be sure to type in Deeks sent you, and there you will get 10% off of your rental. Okay. So thank you very much for that and indulging me for a couple of moments there as Chris and I continue on in this post-game show. So let's see if I can also tee up the shootout winner from Alex Texier, because again, this is a back-to-back situation. Montreal's right back at it tomorrow. in Montreal against the St. Louis Blues, Chris, who are or were playing tonight, I believe, in Ottawa, and it looks like they have beaten the Ottawa Senators 2-1 in regulation. So the St. Louis Blues 10, 12, and 7 on the season, and haven't impressed greatly so far either. And I think it's a huge opportunity for the Canadiens to win a couple of games here back to back, but we'll continue on the Leafs game. I'm kind of, if you know me well enough, I tend to go in 10 different directions. But what do you make of how important these first 2 points were at this stage of the season with the injuries that the Canadiens have endured? How important were these 2 points tonight?
I think this is going to go a long way. You beat a rival. We mentioned this earlier in the episode. We beat a division rival and our age old rival, if you will. You can throw Boston into the mix, evidently, but this is going to go a long way. If you think that we're the only ones who are aware that the Canadiens were 0-9-2 against the Leafs at the Scotiabank Arena, mark my words, the Montreal Canadiens players will be made aware if they're not already aware of it.
Right.
This is going to play into this is forward momentum. Happy to beat the rival. You had, like we also discussed earlier, Matthew Nyes coming out and saying this is going to be a big game. We're gonna put our best foot forward. Where we want retribution. We want payback in a certain sense. And I think the Montreal Canadiens. I will say it again. The Montreal Canadiens completely outclassed the Toronto Maple Leafs for 40 minutes at the very least. So, do I think that this is a building block? Do I think this is something important? Absolutely, beyond the shadow of a doubt. But with you mentioning Ottawa losing as well tonight, just propels us. I think Ottawa is going to be our closest competitor in the division, arguably, and it's imperative that we actually are going to be winning games tonight, like winning in instances against the division rival. By the way, another stat that I just want to throw out over there: Jakub Dobeš has yet to lose against a team from the Atlantic Division. He's 4-0 now.
Wow.
So
That's a stat.
huge. In short, I'm Mr. Long-winded answer, and you said I would
I
call
am.
myself
I am too.
Tangent Man, Chris.
That's
So
okay. You're okay.
I'm on the same page. But yes, this can be a solid building block if they win tomorrow against St. Louis. I think we'll actually see something really progressing. Can't wait to see what Zach Bolduc. Just to say, Zach Bolduc has yet to score at the Bell Center. Talk about a perfect opportunity to do so.
Yeah, that would be a good time tomorrow. And I did like Boldy's defensive details, I got to say. And here's what I'll say also about, and thank you for that stat that Chris just shared. Dobesh undefeated against Atlantic Division opponents so far in his career. That's pretty impressive. He is 4-0. So with Bolduc, I think with any player on the Montreal Canadiens that is going to be under Marty St. Louis' tutelage, if you will, it's always a funny word to say. But anybody who is not up to par or up to snuff with defensive details, Marty's going to work with them. Whether he has to demote you and put you down on the fourth line, he will get you to where you need to be. And that's what I like about the way he coaches, because if it's Patrick Laine, it's Kirby Dach, if it's Zach Bolduc, if it's Slafkovsky, if it's Demidov, it doesn't matter who it is. He will put you where you need to be so you can work on the parts of your game that you need to get back in line. So this team can be a team that can roll 4 lines. So I appreciate the fact that Bolduc went from the first line to the fourth line, because guess what? There's a reason for it. You're going to come out better on the other side. As long as you just put in the work, you'll get rewarded.
100%. Let's hope that this is another adjustment a la Slafkovsky, as we'd say, and that he's coming back and he's he's that much more prepped to seize the opportunity when it comes. But I have no doubt there have been also other rumblings, what's happening with Zach Bundzuk, as you're saying, just it's a temporary demotion. Everything's going to be fine. We're talking about a 23-year-old. I think he's 22-year-old player
22,
who
yeah.
has a bright future here in Montreal. He's going to hit the occasional speed bump along the way at this age. But I am certain, like you said, Marty's coaching style, the way that he can kind of pull aside a player and have them work on certain elements of the game. Look at Cole Caufield. What has become under Marty's guidance. And some people argue that Cole Caufield is a right-handed replica of of Marty St. Louis in a certain sense, but nevertheless, Cole Caufield has become a significantly more complete player than a unilateral goal scorer. So just saying, maybe some patience with Bodzik will go a very long way.
I think it will. I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, everybody needs to work on certain elements of their game so that by the time you get to near the end of the season and you're making a push for the playoffs, that you guys have your details covered and now you can just go play. So I think that what he's doing makes perfect sense. I'm gonna share the standings here, Chris. Let's give a shout out to not a shout out, but show the standings here in terms of tonight's results. And the Canadiens remain in third in the Atlantic Division, 1 point behind the Boston Bruins and the Tampa Bay Lightning, respectively. So 1 point out of first place in the Atlantic Division, Chris. The Detroit Red Wings 2 points behind. We're now 3 points ahead of the Leafs. The East has been tight, but I expect at some point there's going to come some separation. But this tight schedule in December, I think the Canadiens are kind of ready for it. They turned it on last year in December, as we know. So again, I can't stress how much these games are so important to get 2 points out of, because it's still going to be a grind until Christmas.
You know, I do agree with the, how many back-to-backs do we have this month alone? I would love to speak to the scheduling department over at the NHL. Understand that there are other events at the venues for at which they're playing, but nevertheless,
Right.
that there are a lot of back-to-backs this month alone. December is traditionally not the best month for the Montreal Canadiens. Actually, something that Joey threw out there last episode with the Curfew Boys. But all that to say, um, there was one interesting element on that table. We're 1 point behind Boston with 3 games in hand. We're 1 point
Ooh.
behind Tampa with 1 game in hand. So by the end of tomorrow, I believe we can very much be right at the very top of the Atlantic Division. Who would have thought? Past American Thanksgiving, usually the telltale sign of where your team will end up, barring a very aggressive turnaround in the new year. The Canadiens are looking very good, very, very, very good. And I don't think we could be asking much more from the youngest team in the NHL, might we add.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about them still being the youngest, because you have certain veterans on the team, and you got your Gallaghers, your Andersons, your Jake Evans, your Mike Mathesons, but they're still super young. And it's impressive, to say the least, that they can find their game this early, and being without Kirby Doc, being without Caden Gooley, without Patrick Laine, without Alex Newhook. I think it's just encouraging that when you bring in a guy like Texier into the fold, a guy that can just, they make call ups. They call up Davidson, who almost had his first NHL goal tonight. They call up Florian Jack. They call up Adam Engstrom. Like, they're trying to do what they can to help these guys, and they're getting a look and trying to make a first impression and also be part of a team that's winning. I think the best part for the Montreal Canadiens right now also is, except for today, the Laval Rocket have been on fire. And that is huge for the prospects of this organization right now, Chris.
So Sammy was giving me and the boys updates throughout the Belleville and Laval game, and Kakinen actually got pulled, only for Fowler to go back in. And we're talking about younger prospects. I think there's been a lot of buzz. We'll get maybe into a mini goaltending discussion after this, but
Yeah.
Fowler ended up coming in. Laval ended up coming back and tying the game. I think eventually to end up losing the game, unfortunately. But they're arguably between David Reinbacher, Jacob Fowler. I would say for a supporting player role, Florian Jacky is definitely thrown into that mix. Um, Obviously, Michael Hage is not with Laval, but if we were to stick with those 3 prospects alone, all eyes are on. We can add obviously Adam Engstrom, who's having a fantastic or phenomenal year down in Laval. But I am really, really, really thinking that we're going to have a long playoff run. We're going to have you here in Montreal, or Laval for that matter, just slightly north to actually go see one of those games. I think buckle up for a long, long, long playoff run, and definitely, definitely want to see Jacob Fowler leading the charge, and getting those reps in for the eventuality, which talking about goaltending, Dobie played great tonight. No ifs or buts about that. Goes without saying, we should be expecting not Jakub Dobeš, but Mr. Samuel Montembeault tomorrow.
Right.
Can we
Some
expect?
people in the chat don't want it. They want Dobie in again tomorrow too.
It's hard. It's really 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 hard to not want Dobie, and uh, he's been playing phenomenally well. He's like we said, he's getting back into the swing of things. I don't think it takes anything away if he doesn't play tomorrow. I like the fact that he gets a night off for a back to back. I think Marty even specified it before the season began that it will be an automatic goaltender rotation in such circumstances. That being a back to back, but might we expect what can we expect from Sam Montembeault tomorrow? What this poor guy, we're all rooting for him. Again, it only benefits the Montreal Canadiens organizations to see our players thrive. But collectively, beyond hoping that he gets better, do you think he's on the right tracks? Has he been for you guys have or for yourself personally? Have you seen steps from Sam Montembeault? I don't know. I'm a little bit worried, personally speaking.
I don't think he's had enough good starts in a row to convince fans that he's going to be all right the rest of the way yet. Do I think he will be? I think at some point things will settle down with Sam Montembeault, but nothing does that more than wins. So he's got to go in tomorrow night, and you got to get at least a point out of that game tomorrow. To me, you got to get at least a point, and Samuel Montembeault can't be the reason your team loses tomorrow. So I don't think the confidence is there for him or the Canadiens fans just yet. But a big win tomorrow, a big performance in net will certainly help, as I say often on this channel, calm the waters, if you will. But I think he just needs several good, convincing starts in a row against reasonable opponents to show that, hey, I've had a bad spell. I still got this. I can still be relied upon. We don't want to see Jacob Fowler here too soon. And I don't think they're in any position that they're going to do that unless they're absolutely desperate. But at this point, Sam Montembeault, I think, has it in him. He's shown that he can do it. So I expect him to show that he can do it going forward here, Chris.
We're all praying for him. We're all behind him. We'd like to see him succeed. We know that Montreal's got a very bright future in terms of the the goaltending prospect that's up and coming. But for now, again, if we want to be more than just in the mix this year, I'm very very happy to see Dobie kind of pick things back up closer or more similarly to where he started. But really, really, really got to see Sam Montembeault start locking down and getting back into the groove, really, because at this moment in time, and this is a harsh thing to say, but I think it's very fair. I don't even think Sam Montembeault deserves his place with Team Canada, and I don't think it's
That's
his
pretty
place to
obvious.
say. It is pretty obvious, but that's just one other factor that might play into his mental game, and I think the Canadians have to maybe be walking or go a little bit out of their way to make sure that everything is okay with him. And perhaps we're going to be entering a phase where Dobes should be playing more games if he can't deliver and if that's going to impact him further.
Well, they did ride they did ride Monty last year near the end of the season to get them into the playoffs. So that's something that they might have to, that role may shift to Dobie if needed, but hopefully it doesn't come to that and they don't have to get to game 82 to try to clinch a playoff spot, Chris.
Uh, that would be quite the unfortunate turn of events. Honestly, I have yet, even when you threw up the stats or the standings in the East, I don't think I've seen it this close. Like it is very, very, very close across the board in the East. It's going to be if it continues as such, it's going to be a brutal battle to the end, and sad to say, but even in terms if we were to go into the wild card,
Yep, right here. I read your mind.
it's super important because it's all the Metropolitan Division that's occupying those first spaces. So we have to make sure that we're in the good graces of the Atlantic Division because the Metropolitan is thriving.
Yeah, Rangers, Devils, Flyers, Penguins, all with 33 points apiece.
There
So
you go.
that's
So
hey, and then Montreal's got 33. So that's a 5-way tie if you look at it from the Eastern Conference perspective, which I'll shift over to. I mean, Montreal's in 8th. So like they're in the last playoff spot if you went by the traditional, way of looking at things. But because of the world we live in, the division is different. So they're 3rd in the division, which we'll take that. But yeah, it's a tight time in the Eastern Conference from an overall perspective, and I just want to see consistency from Sam Montembeault. I just want to see it from. I think you know what it is too, the way the Canadiens played defensively tonight. Like any goalie, in a sense, could perform. I would hope up to the level that they need to with a defensive team in front of you, the way the Canadiens performed tonight. So hopefully they can do that for Montembeault and realize that he's going to need some help, but you're going to need some timely saves from Monty also. I think that's the key is we need to have those moments of like Dobesh made a big save. I think it was in the 3rd period, if I'm not mistaken. Trying to remember if it was on Matthews or who it was on, but it was like, that just saved us a point right there. I'm trying to remember the play, but there was a moment there where he made a big save.
it was the kick save, low pad save, left pad save. For the life of me, I cannot remember who took the shot, but it was a key and difference making save for the Montreal Canadiens to keep them in the game. Actually, wait, it wasn't off the pad; it was off his helmet. What am I?
Oh yeah, thank you.
It looked
Yes,
like it was off the pad, but it was off his helmet.
yes.
Great save, great positioning,
I think it was on
and
Joshua. Actually,
that's it.
I
There
could be
you go.
wrong, but I remember Craig Simpson, the broadcast was like, "Wow."
They
So
were ready. So, pardon me for saying this. This is my opinion, but evidently, when you have a panel full of Leafs fans, and it's not a surprise, they are openly celebrating the Leafs. Um, Mr. Paul Bissonnette was saying that he cannot wait to drink the salty tears of Montreal Canadiens fans after the Leafs come back and win the game. So, Mr. Biznasty, we love these moments. It's just it's so wonderful to say. But I before we get too far away from just the last goaltending comment that I would like to make, had it not been for Hildeby, the Montreal Canadiens could have and should have won this game in regulation by 3 to 4 goals. You said it at the beginning of the episode. He did play a very solid game. It's strangely enough less so today, but almost 2 back-to-back games, Montreal versus Toronto, that I almost feel bad for their goaltender because he is the only difference maker that has kept them even relevant in that very game.
yeah, I mean they miss guys like Tanev too. I mean, like defensively, Toronto has had an issue, and the defense and goaltending has been their biggest issue for what 15 years, like 10, 15 years now. So, like you're right about that. I mean, they could have caved them in if they had good opportunities also. And again, Hildeby came up big, especially for Bolduc too. Like guy plays great on the road. He made some huge saves, like you said. He kept them in it. Biz is a farm animal. This is just a funny comment. So, I actually like Biz, and I like the fact that he gives it to fans. I mean, so does what's the other guy's name on their podcast?
Ray Whitney? No,
Yeah,
Ryan.
it's
Yeah,
Ryan Whitney.
not Ray. Right? Ryan
Not Ray
Whitney. Yeah,
Whitney, the player, but Ryan Whitney. Yeah, so it's nice to see when people end up having to eat their words. It's fun, but I think I got to pull up this Texier shootout winner and see if I can sneak it into the stream here, guys, because
that's the cherry on the sundae. There's no better
yeah,
way to wrap up the episode than that.
I don't. Can you hear the music right
Is
now?
thirsty work.
I don't think you can. But
Yes,
you
We
could.
surprised
tiny
some
bit.
people being
There we
a
go.
newcomer to the Canadians.
I'm just trying to mute it so you guys can see it. I don't even want to like. Oh boy. And oh my gosh. Okay,
Oh,
I'll take it off.
silky smooth mitts.
The monetization might just get declined for this show now because I showed it, but that's okay. We'll live with it. So that's not why we're here, is to make money here, okay, folks? But yeah, stop making excuses for the Leafs. I'm getting a commenter saying, but yeah, this is Kelly, a longtime subscriber, longtime supporter who I had the pleasure to meet a couple of times. Great show. Of course, beating the Leafs helps. I think all the Habs fans will agree that a Leafs loss is almost as good as a Habs victory. So it was almost a 4-pointer, but not quite. I mean, to sneak out of this one, again, with 2 points, we'll take it. And to snap that win the streak, we will absolutely take it. So I'm just trying to see if there's a couple of things we can talk about before we kind of head out of here. So Cole Caufield was given the player of the game. Hildeby, second star, 33 saves, a 971 save percentage. You get that from your goalie, and you can't get a win for him. That's disappointing. So Dangle's probably going to have some fun tonight on his show, I'm sure. I'm really curious what Leaf fans think of that game. That's actually something I really want to know. What did they think of the Leafs' performance tonight? Because with Matthews and Nyes just getting back into the lineup, they're still figuring out who they are, and still being without Marner and all that sort of stuff. Like, you got Max Domi on the top line. Like, what is going on here, guys? I know he's not a center. Max Domi, very ineffective. Like, it just he I don't know. But if Montreal wins tomorrow, they take over top spot in the Atlantic Division, and they will if they win, of course. But it's so tight right now. It's like nice to look at those stats here and there because they're momentary, but you got to enjoy them, especially at this point of the season where going through everything they've gone through with the injury decimations and whatnot, you got to take it. You got to take it. So, any final thoughts here, Chris, before we put this one to bed, so to speak?
If I were to add one thing, just to build on the last thing that you just said, the Montreal Canadiens are playing this well without Caden Gooley. Just Caden Gooley alone is enough to have a whole other entire episode. This Montreal Canadiens team, I think we're going to be able to. It's very early, but as this year slowly comes to a close, we're about 25 days exactly to the end of 2025. Well, yeah, to the end of 2025. Sorry, my apologies. I'm really, really liking what I'm seeing. This team, yes, has a few hiccups here and there, but no Kirby Doc, no Caden Gooley. Whether you like it or not, Patrick Laine, I think, has something more to add than, let's say, a Brendan Gallagher on the power play at the very least.
Yep.
There's a lot of very interesting players who are going to be coming back into the roster, into the lineup, and at that point in time, I am looking very much forward to a fantastic outing and a fantastic wrap up to the or second half of the season, if you will. Um, and on that, I would say on behalf of the Curfew Boys, and I do speak on behalf of us all, we would love to have you back on the second on the back nine of back nine perfect Niagara perfect sponsorship placement if you'd like right here, but on the back nine of the season, we'd love to have you on over at the Curfew Boys podcast. And there you go, Niagara Golf Vacations. I think I might have to get away. I might have to get out of Quebec. It's that much colder. Maybe go get some ice wine at like Peller Estates. Not that they're sponsoring us, but I'll give you that free
I
publicity.
used to work there.
Maybe get out and play some virtual golf. Might do some good. Maybe I don't know if they have a tanning bed, but I'm getting as blank as a sheet of paper, so that might also be a good idea as well. But all that to say is, I think we're lining up for a beautiful 2026, and I am so proud of this Habs team. I would have loved to have won the game against Boston, but other than that, to beat already the Leafs 2 out of 3 times this season, to break that 11 game winless streak at Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, I am really, really, really liking everything that these boys are bringing to the table. And like I'm repeating for the third time in less than a minute, just wait until our big boys come back and start really contributing to that further momentum. I think we're in for a nice spring, a nice little spring treat, if you will.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I would love to come on the show, by the way. So I always have a great time with you guys. And your cousin Sammy is chiming in, of course, saying that we did a great show. Good job, Chris, cousin Chris. We love you. I love you guys too. So that's all I can say on that front is love. I got to meet you guys too, which was awesome at the prospect game last year. And I put you guys on the spot for like a post game show. I felt bad. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I got to get you guys a microphone. But you, I feel like I had to get you guys to yell. I'm always so high energy and all this stuff. But I would love to hang out with you guys to go to a Laval game, go to a Habs game, whatever we can put together, do shows until then together. That would be great, man.
Look, I'm gonna say this much, um, and I'm the first person to have difficulty accepting compliments, but I'm just gonna ask. You can just nod and smile. That'll go a long way. But uh, there are a lot of people that we've had the opportunity to meet in this Habs community. You have a fantastic channel. I love watching your videos. They are a staple of the morning or evening routine to keep up to date with everything Canadians and have another perspective on top of the radio voice again, but you are a genuinely good human being when the camera is off. And for anybody who's watching on the Curfew Boys fan side, if you are not already following Drew Deeks, please do yourself a favor. Where can we listen to you? Where can we get your content beyond YouTube?
Honestly, it's pretty much just exclusively YouTube right now. So,
There we
so
go.
I wish it was on audio platforms, but like time is of the essence, and at some point, I'm thinking about doing that. But yeah, so I don't know yet, but I think YouTube is really the main one for now. So thank you for that. I appreciate it, Chris. And honestly, the Curfew Boys, don't forget to check them out if you guys aren't already, because they are like a family over there. Those guys are like brothers. Some of them are literally family between Chris and Sammy.
Some are cousins.
Some are cousins. So no, we really appreciate that shout out from you guys, buddy. So Joe is actually one of the Deeks squad members on this channel. I want to give her a shout out. And it says 37 degrees Celsius yesterday in Sydney, and that's where she is. If you don't like the cold, head down this way. So, but yeah, this comment here about Steve Dangle, you could be the new Dangle as Habs rise, Dangle with a clue. Well, there would be no Drew Deeks without a Steve Dangle. Let's just say that. He has inspired the name. He has inspired the channel. He's an acquaintance, frankly, that has been there anytime I've reached out to him. So I got to say that we all appreciate Steve. I think at some level or another, he entertains us. He absolutely entertains us. So I appreciate that. Never a doubt. Tim Farrell has been commenting on the channel for years and comments all the time. He's been commenting throughout the show as well. Never a doubt at Curfew Boys. And thank you. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it, of course. And thank you, everybody else, for everything. We appreciate it. And thank you for hitting subscribe and like. We appreciate if you hit those buttons and hit the hype button if you are able to on a live stream. I don't even know if you can, but we appreciate all the support. So, Chris, thanks for jumping on here, buddy. It's been great, and it's always better after a Habs win on top of that.
Thank you very, very much for having me. And ole, ole, ole. Time to go watch the press conference and soak in all that winning energy just to cap off the Saturday night over here in Montreal.
You got that right. And I'm going to end this with something that, I mean, call it cheesy, but I think, I think you get a sense of what's coming. I think our souls just touched or something. But hey now, I should have started the show like that.
It's thank you. You know what? That is the hey now and the bye now for the closing.
I wasn't sure if okay. I had that. Okay. Thank you for.
So we do the count off. Do you want to do the honorary count off? We basically lead in.
Bye now.
Bye now.
I can't end it on a better note, folks. Thank you for watching. God bless you. God love you. Love your neighbor as yourself. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, everybody else, for tuning in. We appreciate you.